This is a Nintendo Switch. This is almost 400 plus Nintendo Switch games. And when you have a system that has over 400, actually more than 400 Nintendo Switch games, there's gonna be a lot of good games and a lot of crap games. Today, I want to do a video telling you guys what I believe is the best top 10 Nintendo Switch games of all time. And this can be first party, third party, all that. This is my definitive list, the games that I think are the best onto the system, because I'm always doing top 10 videos talking about the best third party games, but I've never done a video talking about my top 10 favorite Nintendo Switch games all time, the ones that I think make the system it is. And today we're going to be doing that, so let's go ahead and start talking about these wonderful games. Alright, coming in number 10 is actually the only third-party game you are going to see on this list. I feel like the Nintendo Switch has so many good first-party games that it is overtaking my entire top 10 list. And it almost was a fully first-party games list. But when I went on my trip to Too Many Games and had the chance to really properly play this game, I knew it had to be in my top 10 best Nintendo Switch games list, because this game is perfect for the Switch and such a good game for the Nintendo Switch. So coming in number 10 is Persona 5 Royal. Persona 5 is a game that I am a big fan of. I have beaten the vanilla version, I guess is what people call it, on my PS4 years ago during COVID when that happened. And it was probably one of the craziest experiences ever. I had such a fun time with that game. And I immediately, every time I was playing the game, was like, why isn't this on the Switch? This would be perfect for the Switch. And I mean, any type of game that's over 100 hours long, I feel like you gotta put it on the Nintendo Switch, because nobody has time for that. It takes people a long time to beat 100 plus hour games, and the only reason why I was able to beat that game when I beat it was due to COVID. So when I had the chance to take this on the way to Pennsylvania and have the time to play it, it just felt amazing being able to play a game like Persona 5 on my Nintendo Switch. It felt like it was truly utilizing the Nintendo Switch's portability to have a 100 plus hour game on the go like that. And to be Persona 5 Royal was absolutely amazing. I think the Switch port is probably the best, one of, if not the best Switch port out there. It runs amazing. It looks almost exactly the same as some of the other versions out there. And it's just such a good game, Persona 5 Royal. I have not had a chance to beat it because I've already beaten vanilla, so it's a hard time to justify me putting another 100 hours into a game that I've already seen 80 hours of, basically. With the extra 20, I don't know, but I have to go through a lot of whatever I've gone through Persona 5 to get to that extra content, which I'm eventually going to do. It's going to be a long time till I get that way to be able to have the time to do that, because there's so many Nintendo Switch games, so many videos I have to get done. But this is a game that I think you should definitely own if you're a big fan of these type of games, and it's just a special game to experience. Coming in number 9 is one of the many Nintendo Switch games that I question, if you own a Switch, why do you not own this game in particular? Now, we're going to be talking about more of those games that I consider, I think it's like 5 games that you should own on the Switch if you own the Switch, at least one of the 5. If you own a Switch and don't own one of these 5 games, I question why you bought the system. And one of those games is Super Mario Odyssey. Now, Super Mario Odyssey was definitely a throwback to the fans that love old school Super Mario 64 with how that game's style was. If you were a fan of that and saw Super Mario Odyssey, you instantly fell in love with that game because it's a throwback. That game, I feel like Mario Odyssey is meant to really talk about games like Mario 64, Mario Sunshine. It's meant to draw you in my opinion, and I think that's why this game is such highly praised. A lot of people consider this the best 3D Mario game out there. Some will even tell you it's the best Mario game of all time. So for the Nintendo Switch to have a game like Mario Odyssey, it is truly a special game. The game looks great. It's like an open world Mario game where you go to multiple different worlds. The game is polished like crazy. has so much content, a lot of throwback moments where you will really appreciate this game. You know, I think it's a must-have if you own a Nintendo Switch, because it is one of those, I would say, triple A Nintendo Switch games from Nintendo that really pushes the Switch to its limits. And by the way, I got my copy signed by Mr. Charles Martinet himself. Even got in this cool container case thing. Really cool to own a copy signed by Charles himself. Coming in number 8 is probably going to be the most controversial game on this list. A lot of people are probably going to get really mad that I even have this in my top 10 list. All I ask is you hear me out before you're already typing in the comments, Max, you're an idiot. Let's go ahead and talk about it. Number 8 is ARMS for the Nintendo Switch. ARMS is number 8 on my list. I had such a blast playing ARMS on my Nintendo Switch. I wish I had the opportunity to play it more, but unfortunately, a lot of people that buy it don't play it anymore because there's so many great games out there for the Switch. And when I'm trying to convince my friends to buy the game, they just tell me no. ARMS is a great game in my opinion. I think a lot of people hate on the game. I think the last time people played the game was when it actually first came out, because there wasn't much content initially when it first came out. This is when Nintendo started doing their whole free updates, updating games every month. It came out during the Nintendo Switch's first year, 2017. It actually came out 3 months after. I believe, I might be losing my mind, but I think it was the only original brand new Nintendo IP to come out for the Switch that year. And Nintendo was definitely pushing this game, utilizing the Joy-Cons, because the Joy-Cons were the big thing at the time for the Switch. Now people don't really care as much because they drift and people just prefer Pro controllers. But that game was definitely pushing the idea of using your Joy-Cons, and the game was great. If you're a fan of Punch-Out, a lot of people were kind of liking this game because it reminded them of Punch-Out a little bit. Some people preferred them to actually just make a full-on new Punch-Out game. That would have been great too. But for me, ARMS has so many great moments for me. When this game came out, it was actually during my birthday week. Brought this to a birthday party where we were at Grateful Lodge. Had a bunch of my friends there, and we all just stayed up late playing ARMS. I'm never gonna forget the moment of playing ARMS with my friends because I had so much fun playing with my friends that night. All of us had so much fun. I think the people that hate on this game have not played it enough and haven't seen some of the new content updates that are in this game, because I feel like it fixed a lot of the problems that people complained about with ARMS, and they did so many free updates. They were updating the game, I want to say, for a good 4 months of just adding new characters, stages, new content. They added a lot of new things here. And I hope one day we get an ARMS 2. I know a lot of people aren't probably going to buy it now because, unfortunately, ARMS also just released at a very bad time in the Switch lifecycle. You had Splatoon 2 coming out like 3 weeks later, because once Splatoon 2 came out for the Switch, everyone was playing that. That was the game. Splatoon 2 was such a big deal, and ARMS was really released in the middle of that, and I feel like it didn't get a true chance to shine. And I think this Nintendo IP has a big chance to shine and to be something great. I mean, it was so great that Sakurai put Min Min in Smash, so I think people really should give this game a try, and I guess the price point's a fair point if you don't want to pay that much. I think it's worth it, but it's a very fun multiplayer game, and with the right people, you're going to have an absolute blast with ARMS. Okay, coming in number 7, this one was a hard one for me because later down the list, there's another game that I'm going to be talking about that I always switch between these two. So when we get to that game, I'll change my opinion probably in a few days because I both pretty much love these games equally. And coming in number 7 is Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. I am so happy that Nintendo decided to give the first Xenoblade game another chance to be put onto a Nintendo system, because this thing was ported to the 3DS, which was a new 3DS exclusive game, so a lot of people didn't get a chance to actually play that game because at the time the new 3DS XL didn't really sell that well till way later, but they didn't make many copies of this game. It was kind of released at a bad time. And not to mention, if you wanted the original Xenoblade Chronicles game, that was at the time really hard to get because it was a GameStop exclusive in America. Game was super expensive. Basically, the first Xenoblade game did not get a proper chance to be played. And with the Nintendo Switch coming out, with it being a big system where everyone was buying the Switch, with this game not being exclusive to a store and not being exclusive to a platform that wasn't selling that well, it was finally time for Xenoblade, the first one, to actually get a chance to shine. Because if you saw Xenoblade 2, that came out, sold really well, was the best-selling Xenoblade game at the time. It might still be. When that came out, a lot of people wanted to experience the first game because Xenoblade 2 was a lot of people's first Xenoblade. So Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, for me, is the definitive way to play the first Xenoblade game, and I think the game's great. It's such a special game. It's such a good game. This is probably my favorite Nintendo game of all time. I don't know. It's hard to say. It's so tricky right now, especially with another game that we'll talk about later. But this game is truly a masterpiece, and once you play the game in its full, you'll be blown away. I don't want to get too much more into it because this game needs to be experienced with really no spoilers at all, so make sure to play this game. It is worth it. You can play it on the Switch, 3DS, if you have a Wii Virtual Console still, you can play it on there, the Wii. I think all ways are great. If you only have a Switch, pick it up on the Switch. It's cheap. It goes for about $30 now, on sale a lot. Number 6 is also a very special game to me. I think it's the best Mario game in my opinion. That's gonna be a hot take, but Super Mario 3D World. Super Mario 3D World on the Wii U was such a special experience for me. It was just so crazy to see how beautiful that game looked. The multiplayer was absolutely crazy playing with friends. The one thing that I wanted in Super Mario 3D World was online play. And this game came to the Switch with online play. It was so cool being able to play what I consider the best Mario game with my friends. And when I have friends like Gummy Lad over, when I played this with him, I had so much fun. This game is truly special. It is such a good game, and not to mention with the Bowser's Fury content, I wish that was longer, of course, but having that additional game, I mean, I don't know if you call it an additional game, but having Bowser's Fury in here, I think adds a lot of value to an already great game. Super Mario 3D World has so much content. It has, I don't know if it has more content than Mario Odyssey. It really depends how long it takes you to do certain things in 3D World, just like it would in Mario Odyssey. But this game has so much content for the type of game that it is. It is such a fun game. I literally can't describe to you. Like, this is my favorite Wii U game of all time. This is my favorite Mario game of all time. I even got this signed by Charles Martinet himself also. He signed in black right here and then in white. I don't know what was up with that. But I'm still happy to have this in the collection. And it is one of the best Wii U games out there that's been brought over to the Nintendo Switch. And it needs to be experienced by everyone if you haven't already. And especially its multiplayer system. It has the best multiplayer system in my opinion for any type of game out there. I think it's unique how they have the whole crown system. Get the best points, flex the crown. Some of these levels are great with multiplayer too. The abilities that you have with the character selection, everything about this. The levels are beautiful. This is Mario's first time, at the time, a 3D HD Mario game where you were seeing the world like it is now. Obviously a pretty common thing to see now, but the Wii U at its time, having a game like this was absolutely crazy. I know it wasn't the game people wanted on the Wii U, but for me, it was everything I wanted and was truly special and memories I will never forget. Alright, number 5. This is the one that I was saying with number 7 that I change my mind all the time. Number 5 is Xenoblade Chronicles 3. This game was, again, it was a shock. I wasn't sure what to expect with Xenoblade Chronicles 3 because, in all honesty, I didn't really like Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I think I tell myself I like it just because it's Xenoblade and I want to, you know, because I'm MONADO Max here. I feel like I have to like Xenoblade 2 because of the name that I have, the big fan that I am of the first game, and just overall the big fan I am of the series. So when Xenoblade 3 got announced, I was excited, but also worried at the same time. I wasn't a fan of the approach that Xenoblade Chronicles 2 took, and Xenoblade 3 basically took all my problems with Xenoblade 2 and fixed it and made it to a peak game, in all honesty. This was my game of the year last year. Truly blew me away. The DLC that came out, Future Connected, is probably the best DLC expansion I've ever played. And in all honesty, that might be Game of the Year too. I mean, I know you can't put a DLC expansion as a Game of the Year contender, but for me, Tears of the Kingdom and the expansion pack of Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is contenders for Game of the Year. But I know that a DLC expansion can't be Game of the Year. It's just the amount of stuff that's happened in Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is so good. The combat, it fixed all the problems I had with 2's combat, makes everything make sense in the Xenoblade world. The characters in Xenoblade Chronicles 3, I can't describe this, like I can't describe how happy I was when I found out that I actually liked almost every single character in Xenoblade Chronicles 3. You know how many characters I didn't like in Xenoblade Chronicles 2? I didn't like 90% of them. This game has it where you can get attached to these characters all at once. Dude, this game is so good. Buy this game, especially if you're a fan of one of the Xenoblade games. This you have to play. I mean, you really have to play 1 and 2 to really enjoy 3. It's just 2, I don't know, I didn't like it, and I feel like the people that really like the game, the only reason why they liked that game is because that was their first Xenoblade game. If they played the first Xenoblade first, then go into 2, they're not gonna like 2. That's just my opinion. I don't know. The next 4 Nintendo Switch games are all gonna be games that I talked about in the beginning of this video, where I was saying there are 5 Nintendo Switch games in this video that I feel that you should own 1 of 5 if you own the system. If you don't own 1 of 5 of these games, I question why you bought the system. Genuine question, why did you buy the Switch? Coming in number 4 is Animal Crossing New Horizons. Now, I'll be honest, I have problems with this Animal Crossing game. I don't think it's the best Animal Crossing game that I've played, but it's still Animal Crossing for the Nintendo Switch, which is, in my opinion, a big title to have on the Switch, and the game is still, with the issues that it has, a very fun game. And it also came out at a time that we needed something like this, because if you didn't have a Switch at the time and don't realize when this game came out, it came out during the pandemic. This was a game that a lot of people was able to connect with during the pandemic because you could make your own island. You were able to have peace with what was going on with the world while connecting with other people. It was a special time to have this game. The game was great, seeing Animal Crossing characters in HD, like actual HD, that looked really good. I mean, Amiibo Festival looked great, but I think everyone tries to forget about that game's existence, so this, to me, is the first time we saw these characters in HD. I just wish Animal Crossing New Horizons had more online features. I think New Leaf was such a peak game with the amount of online features it had. New Leaf, I think, is the definitive Animal Crossing game. But New Horizons is still great, still peaceful, still so much to do. If I had more time, I would be playing Animal Crossing New Horizons way more, but I don't have the time like I used to, so I'll probably not touch this game very often, but when I do touch it, it's always a special experience, building my own island and everything that Animal Crossing New Horizons has to offer. Must own game for the Switch. Coming in number 3 is The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Now, this game is also another phenomenal Nintendo Switch game that for me was really my first big Zelda game that I actually really wanted to finish. I've played a lot of these Zelda games, but I never had the thrive to finish a Zelda game until I got Breath of the Wild on my Switch, which I guess with this being the first Nintendo Switch game from Nintendo, I guess that was the big reason why I was like, oh, I need to finish this game. But the world of Breath of the Wild is absolutely stunning. This game is stunning. People are still finding out things to do in this game. Almost, actually 6 years later, people are still finding out things that no one knew about in this game. And with its sequel, it's probably going to end up the same way, where there's so much to do. People are still discovering things. This game is special and is probably one of, I mean, I know a lot of people talk about this. I haven't played enough Zelda to make a statement like this, but I've heard people before, when this game came out at its time, it was the best Zelda game. Now I think the times have changed, and I guess you can guess what I'm going to say what number 1 is now because of what I just said, but this game is still special nonetheless for what it was. And by the way, I got my copy signed by Mrs. Zelda herself, Patricia Somerset, I think is her name. Met her over at Too Many Games. Very nice person. Must own game for the Switch, and that's why it's my number 3 game. amazing Nintendo Switch game that so good, it's even on the Wii U. Coming in number 2 is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. This is truly the ultimate fighting game. It has it in its title. Super Smash Bros. Has such an important meaning to me in my life with a lot that eventually I will talk about, but that series is always going to be special to me. So the fact that we got it on the Switch with every character returning was absolutely crazy. This game is so good. It is the best Super Smash Bros. Game out there. And again, such a good game. Not even to mention all the DLC characters that we got. We got pretty much every character we wanted in Smash. I mean, I didn't get Shovel Knight, but that's okay. He's in the game in some form. An assist trophy. That's something that a lot of people don't get to say. And Super Smash Bros. Ultimate game runs great. Game looks amazing. Again, another great multiplayer experience to have. I mean, I had this at a Christmas party before. All of us had a fun time. Some of those people weren't even Nintendo fans at all. Never played a Nintendo game before. When they played this, they're like, huh, it might be time to buy a Nintendo Switch. So, you know what? Remembering moments like that, where a game can do something like that for somebody to buy a Switch, to have you even consider buying a Switch, you know you have a great game. I just wish the single player thing was better. I wasn't a fan of Spirits or whatever. I already forgot what it's called. I also wish trophies came back. I know why they didn't do it. I just wish they would have done it. Coming in number 1 is The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. This game is amazing. I am still playing Tears of the Kingdom right now. I've not beaten the game. A lot of people are probably going to be mad that I even have this in my list since I haven't beaten it. I'm 15 hours into the game. I would have already beaten it if it wasn't for the fact that I do YouTube, I stream, and I also have a full-time job where I'm working 44 hours, not including what I do for this channel and other things out there. So with what I've played of this, everything that I'm seeing with this game, I can tell you this is the best Nintendo Switch game, and it's my favorite Nintendo Switch game with everything that I've played. It is crazy how far this game goes, and to how, this game pushes the Switch to its absolute limits. This is a masterpiece. This is going to win Game of the Year. If it doesn't win, it's going to be a very close nomination to winning Game of the Year. It's going to be nominated at the very least. I mean, it's safe to say that. Game is so good. It is so freaking good. I bought everything that the game had coming out for it. I mean, I got the Zelda Tears of the Kingdom Switch over there. If you saw my Ultimate unboxing video, I bought everything Zelda. Everything Tears of the Kingdom. This game is so good, and I literally cannot wait to finish the game. So those are my top 10 favorite Nintendo Switch games. Now, I do want to know your guys' top 10 list. Is there games that I'm missing? Because listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I know there's a lot of games missing. This was probably one of the most difficult videos I have had to make. I literally sat there at my computer, writing this script, writing the games that I wanted to talk about, and I looked at the games, I'm like, this is more than 10 games. I had so many games in here that should have been talked about, but we can only talk about 10 games. I probably will change my mind every other day of a lot of the games that we talked about. You might see me say Smash Bros is my favorite Switch game. You might see me say Xenoblade is my favorite Switch game. There are so many good Nintendo Switch games from both Nintendo and third-party companies out there when it comes to the Switch. I truly believe it makes the Switch one of the best Nintendo consoles out there, and especially from its game support, from first party, I think it's hard to deny the first party support of the Switch is the best that you will see of Nintendo's consoles. I do want to know what you guys think that I was missing out on. I've probably already had it on the list originally, but I had to move it. I had like a top 30 list, guys. It's insane. I could talk about this for long times of periods. This is a very hard video to make, so don't get mad if I didn't talk about your favorite game in here, but I do want to know your guys' top 10 list, so make sure to let me know in the comments down below. I have been talking for way too much. Make sure to backslash that subscribe button. Please do. We're so close to 9,000 subscribers. I'm trying to get that before we go to Southeast Game Exchange next week. By the way, Coleman, show the image. We are a special guest at Southeast Game Exchange, which is happening in Greenville, South Carolina, July 15th through the 16th. I will be there all week. It's going to be a special time. Come say hi to me if you guys are going, and let me know if you guys are going to be there. It's going to be awesome. I cannot wait. make sure to backslash that subscribe button, like the video, check out the Twitter, check out the Discord, check out the Twitter, check out the Twitch, check out the Instagram, check out the TikTok, become a MONADO Marine member for $5 a month to get awesome emojis and other benefits like exclusive video shoutouts, Discord server roles, all that good stuff. And I will see you guys in the next video. Okay, that was cringe. I'm never doing that again. See you guys in the next video. Peace.